It's Daf Yomi Yerushalmi Maseches Sheni article Osva edition one, the sixth line from the bottom of Memav Hamav Rabbi Ezra Boy, which is the 10th line of the top Chof Hamav in the Vilna. It's a boy, and yesterday we talking about a case where a woman appoints Shila Kabbalah, which she has the authority to do because that's her authority to do Kabbalah get. And now we're going to talk about Rabbi Ezra going to ask, what about by a matana? A recipient appoints a shliach to be makabel matana on his behalf, and the recipient comes to the gift giver and he says, "I'm the designated shliach to receive the gift on so and so's behalf." And the owner says, the gift giver says, "Helach, holech." So the question is, what's he saying? Is holech kisri or holech lav kisri? So I say that he means to say that yeah, you can be zoich immediately because the recipient of a gift has no independent authority. Unlike a woman who has the independent authority of being makabel get, recipient has no authority over a matana. So you can't really appoint a shliach kabbalah. Doesn't really work. So the question, when the giver says holech, does he mean holech kischi? And in fact, he is delegating to the shliach the right to be makabel on behalf of the recipient. Or I say no, it means holech, take it to the recipient. Only when the recipient gets it, it's going to be a valid gift. So, there's a boy coming out of your Afli and matana kain. What is in terms of matana, the same thing. The person being a shliach to kabel something which is not his. They said, "Taman haTorah zichos sabagita." No, it's not the example. There, the Torah is mezaker her and her get. For you also shliach kabel davar shu shalah, and she's makabel shliach to receive something which is, in other words, the authorization. There is a valid form of authorization which she is imparting to the shliach. But by matana, can you see there's any authorization to receive something which is not yours, which the Torah does not grant you any authority over? Doesn't have unique capacity of an isha to makabel. Makabel as a, let's be briskers. Come on, the kabbalah of an isha does a chales. So therefore, that capacity to do a chales is transferred to the shliach. The kabbalah of a recipient of a gift doesn't make a chales. Chales is made completely by the makneh. So therefore, he doesn't have the authority. The recipient doesn't have authority to make a shliach kabbalah. So it all depends what the owner says when he says holech. Does he mean to say holech kischi or not kischi? But if it means holech's not kischi, holech's not kischi, so then it's not going to be valid. So the v'me'ada, and furthermore, you can prove that it's not comparable from that which Rabbi Yosef said named Rabbi Yechon. This is in Shvi, it's Perek Yud Mishnah Dalet, Matzir Perek Dalet Mishnah Beis. Somebody who said. No, it's Gemara, not a Mishnah, right? It's Gemara. Somebody says, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavdi Rabbi Moshe Yochanan Amar Litain Maton Chaver Bikash Lachsabar Chozaba. Somebody says, I want to give a gift to my friend. He can be reneg, and there's no mishapara because the Makabel has no smichos das. He has no guarantee, no. It's not just there's no smichas das. He has no expectation. He can't have any expectation until it cuts to his hand, and therefore, we're also not going to say holech kischi, unless he said the original owner says explicitly, "This is be zoicha for on his behalf." He's not zoicha on his behalf. That's why a bikesh mata amarli tematan chaver bikesh lachzabo chayzabo. Even he has good intentions. He wants to give the gift. It's not enough. Come Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavdi. So Rabbi Yossi got up and asked Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavdi. It's interesting lesson in Yerushalmi. Come Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavdi. He got up to ask him the question. He rose up to ask him the question. Amalei said, "V'hainu hin tzedek." Wait a minute. What about this principle we have that the base of Pascha v'yikol yotes hin shachar tzedek? A Jew's promise is a promise. He has to be honest, and he promised to give the gift. So this is fascinating. I think it's also in the Bavli. When he said it, he meant it sincerely. Then he changed his mind. So hin tzedek means you should be honest. You should be sincere. But that doesn't mean that it makes a transaction. It means you should always intend to do what you say to do. But then there are all sorts of things which change, and then it's afterwards. It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that it's ineffective because hin tzedek. Hin tzedek just means at the time you promise that you should have in mind to do it, and later on, hopefully you'll follow through. But it's not. It's not going to compel the person to actually give it later on. So when he says I'm not sure. I was the problem is this. Does it mean he actually is honest because he was honest at the time that he promised to do it, or does it mean that he is dishonest, but the honesty is a good policy, but it's not binding? I'm not sure again if it's actually rationalizing the behavior to a certain extent. I don't think so. Or is it just saying, okay, a lot of people have a lot of good intentions. It doesn't happen that way in the end. Okay, you can learn it either way, obviously. Okay, says the Mishnah, Halacha Daled. Ha'aminiach Isser. A person left an Isser in order to Mechal Peres Ma'aser Sheni on it. And he was Mechal Ma'aser Sheni B'achem Olav Chetzio. V'ach HaMakam Acher, then he went somewhere else. V'yoytze B'punyon. And there, this Isser is this coin is worth a punyo, which is 2 isarin. So he was 8, corresponding to half of its value. But now it's going to somewhere else where it's going to have double the original value, right? Ochel of Isser, since that now the Marbea is worth 2 Isser in this new place, and it therefore has still an Isser of Chulin. There, another Isser of Peres Ma'aser Sheni. So let's see. Let's check out the math here because I'm not sure I got it. To be honest with you, you did right. Okay, you did half of the coin, right? It was an Isser. You put it connected half. Now you go somewhere else, right? And now it's you took the Isser with you. Now it's worth double, 2 Isser. So since now it's worth 2 Isser, so you have another whole Isser of Chulin besides what you already put in, and therefore you're allowed to Mechal another Isser of Peres Ma'aser Sheni. So you don't say that he gets 3. He gets. He owns Mechal a quarter of the value, and he has 3/4 value left because already is Mechal Chatzi Isser, and now it's worth 2 Isserim, so it's 1.5 Isserim left. You don't say that. No, you say it was Mechal half its value. Now doubling in value, so you get the second half of the value. Okay, which is interesting, Cheshbon. Okay, now what about the other way around? So that was the first one. Mishnah Isser v'achal v'chatzi chetzio v'achal makamacher v'yoytze punyon v'achal ol Isser. Now the converse. Aminich punyon v'achal chetzio. You left the punyon, which is worth 2 Isser, and you were mechal 1 Isser. V'achal makam acher, and they waited for someone else, and now goes v'yoytze Isser. The same coin is worth 50% of its original value. So ochalav plug. So again, you ate half of the coin's value to begin with, right? So which left you with an Isser. Now you go to a new place. Okay, the coin itself is now worth an Isser altogether. You still have half the value left, so now you can be mechal upon it another half an Isser. What we don't say is, well, since it's only worth an Isser, you already use its entirety. No, the proportion of a half remains intact, and therefore you have another half Isser you can be paid on. The next part of the Mishnah is extremely, extremely difficult. All the Mefarshim have a very hard time with this, and the Mefarshim basically give up and say, well, Navi, Mashiach will come and tell us what the Pshat in the Mishnah is. So we'll do our best. And this is mostly based basically on the art scroll, which is based on the Rash, which I believe is also Chaim Kanievsky's Pshat. Haminiach Isser Shemaiser Sheni. So there's an Okim. They put this type of Mishnah in Okimta. A Chaver saw an Amoritz who was Mechal Peres Ma'aser Sheni on an Isser. Okay. So we assume, assumption is that if he's being Mechal, it's Pim Meiser Sheni, so Mistami also took up Meiser Rishon. And Trumas Meiser, and the parents are not also on account of the Mai. So therefore, the Chaver can rely on this and eat on this basis. The question is, how much can he eat on this basis? Okay, so we know that the tenth of Meiser Sheni, which is not an absolute tenth because he already took off a tenth of Meiser Rishon, the tenth of Meiser Sheni of this fruit is worth an Isser. Okay, we have to extrapolate backwards and figure out based on that how much fruit you can actually eat from this batch. Okay, so let's take it from the beginning. Whenever you have truma, it's a mashu. It's usually Chazal said it should be 2%, but be the rights of the mashu. The Meiser Rishon is 10%, right? But then we have to take that 10% off. That means out of 100, you took off 10, and now you have 90 left. So the Meiser Sheni is 9, right? The Meiser Sheni is really 9. 9 is 10% of the 90, which is remaining, right? So the 9 equals 1 Isser. Okay, so the Meiser Rishon, which it's the Mai, so Meiser Chevel of Araya. We assume that the Amoritz took it up, but didn't actually give it, so it's still here. So how much is that Meiser Rishon? If the 9 is worth an Isser, right? The Isser is 9, and that's your put in the Meiser Sheni. So now, how much Meiser Rishon was there beforehand on top of this? So in measuring the Sorim. So Gemara says, the Mishnah says, "Hamniach Isser Meiser Sheni Ochalav." You can eat for this a chadasar Isser, echad mimea be'Isser. So the cheshbon is that if an Isser is a 10th, but it's the second 10th, which is really corresponds to the 9, then it must be that you can eat 10 times as much, but more than that, because the first 10th is larger than the second 10th. Again, the first 10th in its measure would have been 10. The second 10th in its measure is 9. So therefore, sachakol, if you can eat corresponding to this Isser, a chadasar Isser, you can eat not just 10 Isserim, because it's the second 10th, but a chadasar Isser b'chabim me'em Isser. So the actual proportion comes out to 11 Isserim plus 1/100th of an Isser. That is considered to be what's tukan from this batch. Okay, extrapolating outwards from the Isser, which you know corresponded to the 9 of Meiser Sheni, you come to a full amount of in measuring Isurim of not 10 Isurim, but 11.01. Right, Isser v'chavim 11.01 altogether. Now, I'm not going to do the math because I don't know math, and I'm not sure it's 100% accurate anyway because the Farshim say that it's not precise. But somehow that's how this Mishnah works. Okay, that's Tanakama. Beishamrim hakol asara. Beishamri says no, you can't do that. You can only assume they can eat up to 10. Why is that? So he says that the Chaver is exempting from taking off Meiser Sheni because he saw that the Amoritz took off Redin Meiser Sheni, but he has to take off Meiser Rishon. So because even though he saw that Amoritz was careful about Meiser Sheni, we can't extrapolate never to Meiser Rishon. So therefore, I don't have that additional larger 10th to add on Bimatir. No, I can only assume that this is what's 10 times this is mutter, and this is again the the Akol Sarah, including this Meiser Sheni, everything being 10, and then therefore the Meiser Rishon, he still has to take off. He can't assume that that much is also permitted. Okay, the Beis Hillel bevadai echad asar. Beis Hillel says if it's vadai, then it is 11 with my asara, which in of itself is a difficult thing. So, we're going to get into the mindset of this Amoritz. If the Amoritz, who the Chaber saw take of Meiser, the Meiser Sheni, he himself knew that he was dealing with Tevel. So then, he must took off Meiser Sheni, he must also take off Meiser Rishon. And therefore, that the approximately 11 is okay. But if the Amoritz knew was the Demai, so we can't assume that he took up Meiser Rishon. The fact that he was playing a Meiser Sheni, because that was easy to do Meiser Sheni, but we can't assume they actually took up Meiser Rishon. So therefore, the Chaver himself is taking up Meiser Rishon. So all he can be matir is 10 times the Meiser Sheni, and beyond that, he still has to take off Meiser Rishon on the rest. On the rest. So again, if it's a bit counterintuitive, but that's the idea. If it was Tevel, so when and he saw the Amar took off Meiser Sheni and redeemed it, so he could assume he took off Meiser Rishon as well. But if it's the Mai, he might only take off the Meiser Sheni and redeem that because it was easy, but not take off the Meiser Rishon and redeem that. And the reason for that is that we know that the Chazal say the Mai was a takana of Yochanan Kohen Gadol because he saw that Ameoritz would take off Truma, but they wouldn't take off Meiser because they thought if they take off Meiser, they take off the Trumas Meiser. But if they don't take off Meiser, they don't take off Trumas Meiser. So therefore, they didn't want to get involved with that. So therefore, even though Rav Meir Tzemach, but a mute, we're not doing that. So therefore, if it's the rationale here is that if it's Demai, so that Amoritz again reverts to that logic that he says, okay, that's a pain to deal with Trumas Meiser, not going to deal with it, and just deal with the Meiser Sheni. But if we see him dealing with Tevel and taking off Meiser Sheni from the Tevel, so then we assume, okay, since he knew it was Tevel Vadai, and he saved Meiser Sheni from it, it must be that he also was meticulous enough to have taken off Meiser Rishon. Very difficult. And I didn't get into the math, but that is basically how we understand the Mishnah. And we will, again, like I said, there are many different Pirushim in the Mishnah, but that's a simple approach without getting into the math.